Hello, my name is Sam Dickey and I'm with Swinerton's Mass Timber team, and we're going to take you on 2 virtual tours of the newest mass timber buildings in Oregon. Today we're going to take a look at the Wingspan Conference and Event Center with its beautiful 80,000 square foot glulam and CLT roof structure, and then we're going to go look at the Hidden Creek Community Center, a new 50,000 square foot conference, recreation, and community center that the community here can enjoy. We're also going to take a look and listen to the folks that built the building, as well as the owners and the clients who operate the building, and hear about the procurement method which facilitated the collaboration that was needed to make this project such a success. Here we are at the beautiful Wingspan Conference and Event Center. Swinerton worked with Washington County to help build and design the beautiful 80,000 square foot glulam and CLT roof structure. Let's hear from some of the folks that made this project such a success.
We're at the Wingspan Event Center in Hillsboro, Oregon. Really great event space that was created and needed for this area. And we got involved with this at the 50% construction document phase. Washington County came out with a CMGC type of procurement on this project. So that's how we got engaged. And it was a great engagement with that. We were able to come onto the project and help get to the project budget needed to make the project a reality. We leveraged our timber expertise and experience building a number of hybrid mass timber and steel structures to bring those lessons learned to this project so that we can help make the fit and finish be really great. One of the tough things with hybrid structures, you're dealing with 2 different tolerances. The timber structure is precision built, cut on CNC machines, and the tolerances like between CLT panels and glulam is very tight. With the steel structure, the AISC has different tolerances of what you can and can't have in beams. And so the magic to the hybrid structure is really marrying those 2 together so that everything, the fit and finish of everything comes out to look really great.
Yeah, so this project has been many years in the making. Probably 30 plus years trying to figure out the financing strategy and try to get the stakeholder buy-in. But eventually, with a lot of efforts and contribution by lots of folks, we were able to put the financing strategy together. We were able to pull all the key stakeholders together to realize this project. So it's a long process. Lots of people have a lot of sweat and blood in the process.
They went through a branding of the Washington County Fairgrounds. This will always be the home to the Washington County Fair, but they have plans to develop this space as the fair even gets bigger and bigger. Now they have larger country acts that come, and they want to be able to develop this and be able to brand it appropriately to attract those kind of events that they're targeting in the future. So I mean, Wingspan is what was landed on. Again, a lot of stakeholders and board members are involved with, landing on that decision. But there's always that element of, a bird or wings or even the lights, right? And I think the Wingspan was something that was had a good feel to it and provided that continuity from an aesthetic standpoint with the architects brought forward to how it's going to be recognized in the community.
I hope you guys enjoyed that tour of the Wingspan Conference and Event Center. Now we're going to take a tour of the Hidden Creek Community Center. Only 1.3 miles away from the Wingspan Event Center, the City of Hillsboro really wanted to utilize mass timber for this project and brought our team on right at the very beginning to maximize the potential of using this building material. So let's take a look.
This is a really exciting project that we were involved in, and what we focused on for this project in particular was working on a couple of really big moves in the design with the design team and the owner, the City of Hillsboro, so that those could be expressed, but also we achieved that from a budget standpoint by being more cognizant of making the balance of the building more efficient structurally. And so through those structural efficiencies, we could afford the big moves like this entry piece. And what we were able to do here was create an 18-foot cantilever of the structure out over the entry so that it was a sheltered entry, but also showed what you can do with mass timber. And it's been a great example of that. We were able to achieve that by the large double glulam beams that support the structure in the cardio space above my head. And it really creates a signature entry to the building where you then see those double glulams come through the space and natural light coming through skylight shining down into that really invites people in on a beautiful day. Part of how we achieved the big moves in the design were making the balance of the structure more efficient. And so we looked at beam spacing and how to optimize the cross-laminated timber panels so that they were at the right spacing and could be most cost-effective and efficient in their use. By doing that, we were able to create the entry sequence with this 18-foot cantilever, as well as creating clear spans over the gymnasium and create opportunities for natural light to flood into the interior of the space and really complement the wood and create an experience for the community that will be using this facility. So the double glulam refers to two beams that are side by side to help create the cantilever with a reasonable depth of the actual beam itself. And to achieve that, we worked with the structural engineer to develop what we call a saddle connection. And that saddle connection sits on top of the column and supports the two beams, but ties them into the column so that all of that can work together structurally to create this amazing signature move.
And we designed this facility so that we have sight lines through to the forest. So if you're in the facility and you look down towards the gym, etc., the mass timber replicates the forest, and it's just, you know, it's so well integrated. And that was our vision. We wanted to do that. We recognized early on that there could be, and probably should be, a certain amount of economy with mass timber construction, particularly CLT plants. That is to say, we've got the floor and the ceiling, which are one and the same. It goes up faster, and theoretically is less expensive than other methodologies of building. So it just seemed totally logical that we experiment, if you will, with this facility. And this is the city's first mass timber building. And I suspect that we'll do more based on how well it turned out.
So what the designers did in this process was they did a beam and purlin system. So you have the beams running your north-south, the main structural beams there. And then with the purlin system going east-west, it allows you to tuck up all your mechanical systems that would normally have to be hung below or even with the main beams. It allows you to tuck them up high. Really brings them out of focus. And that's always the idea with mechanical. Nobody's trying to draw attention to the mechanical system. It's always a game of hiding. So what they were able to do here is run the main trunk on the far right side of them, and we kept the purlin short on that angle and just cantilevered over it. So we could do that and then turn and run our branch lines across the system here. So you see one up above us, and you continue to see them. So only thing that's dropping down is that little diffuser box. And once again, it's about getting everything up as high as possible. And that allows us to really showcase the structure. And I mean, that's what everybody wants with these timber buildings, is to be able to showcase them and just the life it brings to a structure like this. Where we're at, the below us is the main lobby area. So it's where a lot of people are going to be gathering. And then we're right next to the community center side as well, where there's a great gathering hall. And with that hall, people might be having a private event over there, trying to give a speech. They don't want to hear clunking about their space. So that was a big component, of the noise and the transfer. At the same time, wanting to be open to the gym because that high energy is a part of working out. It's part of being a gym, and people are excited. So up here, we did the 7-ply and the thicker rubber. It's about 3-inch rubber. And then as we transition to cardio, where there's still impact, and there is an office below, we went with a 5-ply and about 1.5 inch rubber. So still great impact. And then below that, which unfortunately we're not going to be able to showcase because it's a hidden ceiling, but we do have an acoustical ceiling between the drop ceiling or drywall ceiling, depending on what space you're in, and the floor above. So what that does is it provides that gap. It's all on spring hangers, and it absorbs that sound coming through here down to the office below.
Having the glulam beams and the columns and the CLT panels come out in a set basically on trucks allowed for the structure of the building to come up very, very quickly. It was commented on by members of the community and by city management too. We're really impressed about how quickly the structure of the building arose. And obviously that was a great benefit to the overall construction schedule and also as schedule and cost are so closely related to these project costs.
With careful management and the help of Swinerton team and OPSIS team, we were managed the budget very closely, and we had the savings, and we were able to add it in and still hold some contingency because COVID hit us, not knowing how that would shake out, but we did. Swinerton managed that really well. We had hardly any incidents or any compromise from COVID, and so the budget came out totally on budget, in fact, to the good.
So what we did here for the Hidden Creek Community Center is work with a number of manufacturers in the Pacific Northwest and link them to fabrication capabilities at Vaughan Timbers so that we could create these custom beams that you see here on this project. Specifically, we worked with Calvert out of Vancouver, Washington, and trucked all of Calvert's members up to Colville for fabrication, cutting, and then application of steel hardware, and then brought those materials down to Hillsboro for installation in the structure.
Our biggest goal is not to sacrifice design intent. So when we looked at the 18-foot cantilever, it was not looking at what the easiest solution was, but looking at solutions that achieve that design intent and actually got us to a fabricatable place where we could get the CLT fabricated, the glulam fabricated. So we really honed in on that whole elevation to figure out where there were some minor design obstacles to get through, as we're going through schematic design and design development, just to make sure that came off without a hitch and it looked really well. So it looks simple and elegant, but it took a lot of time just to walk through it so that we're fully bringing the architect's design intent to life. The true intent of trying to stack beams on top of beams to create chaseways and MEP ducting routes. Right above me here, the cantilevered purlins sitting on top of the main girder beams stop short so that they allow the main duct to transfer through and keeps all the MEP systems up high. And it's a small minor detail. I think that was part of the fun of being on so early in the design process with the architecture team and the MEP consultants and the structural engineers. We could come in and understand their vision, share opportunities that we have with that to try to achieve this. So tucking that whole MEP system up into the into the structure, I think is one of those nuances in mass timber construction that make it really look great and well coordinated. And I think this room kind of came off really well, embracing that type of mentality. We learned a lot with the saddle connection. I'll say is one thing on these projects we try to do is use every project as a great learning opportunity. The saddle was one of these early design obstacles that we had, to work through and understand how do we make the double girder work? How do we have an effective saddle connection there? But what you don't see, usually in the drawings is you see the final connection and how it is when it's fully in place. The one learning lesson we had on this was we have to come and really model how this is being put in place, make sure there's no constructability issues. And we did end up with a constructability issue just on the means and methods of putting the large girders in place. And we were able to carry that forward to our next projects as a lesson learned. To put it on the next one as constructability. One of my first experiences was actually behind us here with the gym roof. What is the best way to work through this situation? How do we get the spans that we want to get? Looking at different configurations on the long span condition. We ultimately got to what I think is a really effective and efficient solution using these deep glulam beams. And then the concrete walls that you see in the background, those are sandwich panels. Those are really, really great application of combining form and function into one item, creating a really energy efficient envelope. And so it's helping us to be able to reduce some of the costs of the MEP system and the energy savings into the building. So I think looking at those full solutions, how we integrate the timber with the lateral system and look at how we can start to reduce the cost of the MEP systems and the overall conditioning of the space and the energy usage, I think was a huge home run. To be able to do all that and have it, to be able to come out and see it is awesome. You see it live in the field and built is great. And I think we had really great partners, with the design team, the engineering consultants, and the owner. The whole team was excellent and shared the vision.
Yeah, so the gym specifically, which is behind me, we spent a lot of time on the constructability. Obviously, the big span is the critical piece here, and the piece that we wanted to make sure that we got right. There was a lot of options that we looked through from the beginning. We looked at some different types of wood trusses, even some steel options, but ultimately we wanted that wood, the wood feel. So at the end of the day, we came into a full, which is a 60-inch tall glulam beam by 90 foot long. That's all one piece trucked in from the fabricator and set in 2 days is what we set all of these beams in. So it's pretty incredible from the amount of fabrication it took to get them up and put them in the dead of winter. Our team spends a lot of time on the pre-coordination, the time in pre-construction to really make sure that when the beams and the mass timber come out on site, that it's fully ready for all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing that will follow. So getting the lights in the right spot early on in the pre-construction process is critical. Understanding where the ducts are, being able to run those above or below beams, and just really making sure that we're thinking through all of those pieces early on in the design process or through the design process, rather than waiting through until construction and trying to coordinate those after the fact. So it's really about bringing that thought process further up into the design.
Wow, that was awesome to take a tour of both of these projects out here in Hillsboro, Oregon. And again, I'm Sam Dickey with Swinerton's Mass Timber team. If you'd like to learn more about mass timber or whether it's right for your next project, please reach out. Give our Mass Timber team a call. Have a great day.